Bye, dear. Man, that's a lot of deer. Welcome back. We're here walking, talking, episode 36. We're getting up there. To start off on kind of a somber note, Niki Lauda, unfortunately the news broke that he passed away last night. He was a fantastic Formula One driver, world champion, incredible human being according to everyone who ever met him. Highly recommend going to watch the movie Rush. Not a perfect, slightly fictionalized version of the events, but it gives you a good idea of who he was. Conviction is incredibly strong with that man. Rest in peace, sir. You will be missed. It's been a rough year for Formula One between him, Charlie Whiting. Knock on wood. Okay, so with that said, quick update on the videos. I managed to get up both yesterday's video and Friday's video. Through some creative wrangling, I managed to recover enough footage to piece together a video. There was chunks of footage missing, which is why it's a bit choppier than normally these are, because usually I try to do them in one take, but that was not from one take, as you can tell. But either way, thank you all for joining me. We're back. Today we're going to follow up on topics from yesterday's video. Specifically, we're going to follow up on Chernobyl, because I wanted to talk about what makes Chernobyl interesting in a more detailed way, because I feel like yesterday's video was not nearly detailed enough, and yeah, because I want to make this video, that's why I want to do it. And because we're out here walking, getting our activity in, because that's the whole point of these videos, is to keep me accountable to getting my steps in, to being more active and being healthier, which we're on our way to that goal. We're getting there. So, what got me into Chernobyl was a picture of the elephant's foot. For those that don't know what the elephant's foot is, it's this elephant foot shaped deposit of nuclear material, fuel, and the iron and concrete that was below the reactor chamber. So when the meltdown happened, it basically melted all the metal around it, melted through the rock, melted through the concrete, and seeped its way down into, I want to say it was like the third basement. It was multiple basements down. Basically burned through the floor all the way down. And apparently it's continuing to burn because there are still concerns about it breaching the bottom of the final basement and seeping into the water supply below, which is terrifying. But either way, the elephant's foot, a picture of it, I found it on, maybe it was Reddit. This might have been before Reddit. This might have been back in the days of like early Facebook or Dig or eBombs World or something like that. But a picture popped up. Actually, yeah, it might have been like a top 10 like weirdest things video. Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. Either way, I saw a picture of it. It fascinated me. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn what it was, how it came to be, and that's how I started to get into Chernobyl. And obviously the first thing I started researching was how this happened. And the answer is incredibly interesting because it is a story in system failure as well as people failure. Because not only did people fail in the control room, people continued to fail after the meltdown. The chain of command, yeah, you can chalk part of this up to this being pre-internet age and information not spreading correctly. I still feel the same could have happened today because rumors and false information still spread like wildfire. But I digress. Either way, basically, people didn't communicate. People kept information to themselves, and those that didn't know what happened were operating under the assumption and the belief that everything was okay. And boy, was it not. So because of all this denial, because the misinformation, help was not sent in a timely manner, and that disaster just spiraled out of control. And looking, like, I'm not going to go too deep into the breakdown, but what effectively happened is people that knew what was going on weren't communicating the gravity of the situation. In part, you could probably chalk it up to some of them actually not knowing the gravity of the situation, but some seem to want to save face, let everyone know everything was okay, even though it was not. And their misjudgment there honestly cost the lives of thousands, if not millions. Not only people, obviously lots of animals died. It denuded an entire region of the world that will be pretty much uninhabitable by humans for the next, I don't know, probably a couple hundred, maybe possibly a couple thousand years. But yeah, and hopefully all that's contained now and it won't get too much worse, but I don't have that much faith. So not only was the breakdown in safety and the breakdown in leadership highly interesting and fascinating, the cleanup effort was also interesting. The reason I say interesting is I don't want to say fascinating because it is a very tragic story. Here in the United States, I've never had to deal with, or we've never really had as direct a situation. What I'm trying to get to is basically the Russians threw people at the problem, because technology at that time was not advanced enough to be able to go in remotely, and they didn't have the proper safety gear to, I mean, at this point I think nobody really had the safety gear to operate in an environment this radioactive, but they were basically throwing people at the problem using numbers to, basically what they were doing is taking people, putting them in a suit. They could go up to the roof to shovel off nuclear material and ash that was completely radioactive. They had 26 minutes to basically go up, shovel, get back down, and get decontaminated. And even so, these people were exposed to humongous amounts of radiation, which is measured in roentgens. Yeah, so basically they just threw people at the problem with very little regard to their safety or to human life in general, and it resulted just in more tragedy. I'm sure those watching the Chernobyl miniseries on HBO, which cannot wait to continue watching that because it is fantastic. Yeah, it's a messy situation, but because it's so messy and because it's so complex and confusing, looking back at it, researching it, understanding it is incredibly fun and fascinating, and I would recommend it to anybody, because right now we're kind of dealing with the ramifications still around perception of this little bird there. I didn't put it in. There's a take yesterday where I see a giant snake, so now I'm much more vigilant when I'm in bright sunny areas about snakes. Not that I'm scared of snakes, I just would rather not step on one. Just personal preference. But part of the reason why I think it's important that a lot of people go look, read, and understand what happened in Chernobyl, same goes with 3 Mile Island and Fukushima. Nuclear is still a very viable technology for producing energy, and I don't think we should discount it, as we really need to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases and emissions that we are throwing up into the atmosphere. I think nuclear is a perfectly sound option. I think we should be investing more heavily into it because the tech is there. It is obviously way better than it was when these two disasters happened, but it's safe. It produces huge amounts of electricity with extremely minimal ecological harm when compared to the alternatives, And it could really be that fill that we need to cover our energy needs, while solar, wind, and other electrical producing methods are perfected and optimized. But yeah, so that's why Chernobyl was so interesting to me. I wanted to kind of go do this little deep dive. Maybe I'll do more of this. Maybe talk about a topic in list form on Monday, break down each individual throughout the week, but we'll see. I don't know if I have enough to talk about some of the other ones, but either way, thank y'all for joining me. Walking Talking episode 36. Never gonna get it. All these takes are messed up because of it. Whatever, who cares? Thank you. Check out my Instagram, follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, comment if you have any other things you love about the Chernobyl story, or if you have any other periods in history I should take a look at, because I'm always up for learning. Learning is fun. But thank you, peace, bye.